Breathwork for manifestation, how to breathe to manifest faster. Does breathing help you manifest at all? Like, these are some of the titles that I was thinking about for this video. And we're taught to go look at other channels that are doing similar topics, take the title that they've already done, take a look at their video, and just regurgitate the same thing. But I'm not going to do that because I know you're brilliant. I know that you are ready for that next step. You're ready for that up leveling. You're ready to get this manifestation thing done. And you said to yourself, you know what, I'm not going to watch any more videos, but then, all right, one more, just one more. So this is going to be that one more video. And we are going to talk about breath work, and we are going to talk about manifestation, and we are going to give you a total different perspective. So you want to stay to the end, because when this video is done, you're not going to look at breath work the same way. You're not going to look at manifestation the same way. You're not going to look at yourself the same way anymore, because you'll start to really understand why up until this point it hasn't worked, because people are regurgitating the same thing over and over and over again because they heard it from someone else. But I'm going to give you something today, something very practical through experience, through what I've experienced as a mindset and manifestation coach, as a trained interrogator, as a mom, so many different parts of my life, that when I look back and I realize some of the stories that I was in, and because I'm not in it right now, I can kind of reverse engineer what was going on. That's all this is. So welcome to the Invincible CEO YouTube channel. This is our wish fulfilled playground. I am Didi Povernick. I am the Invincible CEO, and I'm here to help you make clear, concise, certain choices in the now moment, so that when you make these choices, there is no doubt that you made the choice, and that's all you have to do. You don't even have to believe that the choice could actually happen. You just got to make the choice and don't wobble. Don't make a counter choice. Don't go back into the old reality. And if this is something that really interests you, because manifestation is so simple, because manifestation doesn't exist. None of this exists. You don't exist. I don't exist. But yet here we are. So then what's going on right now? And I'm going to have you start to replace time and space for the unfolding, for the fulfillment, the realization. It's not about how much time or how much space do you need to give. It comes down to how aware are you of what you've chosen right now? Because if all there is right here, right now, and all that's ever happening is happening right in front of you, and the majority of the time what's happening in front of you isn't what you're thinking about. So let's really break this down before we get into the breath work, right? So there comes a point in your awareness, because nothing happens outside of your awareness. When you're asleep, everything happening is inside the sleep awareness, right? You're having a dream. And what's going on out here is none of your business, because you're not aware of it. Just like right now, whatever state you're in or whatever country you're in, pick a different state, pick a different country. What's going on there right now? Or even down the block from where you're at right now, you don't know what's going on. You can't even prove that down the block exists, because all that exists is right here, right now. And when right here, right now, and what's in front of you becomes the most important thing, because that's where your awareness, your full awareness, your see it, taste it, touch it, hear it, smell it awareness is, because your mind is saying, if you can't see it, taste it, touch it, hear it, smell it, it's not real. But then it offers you all this nonsense within you, and it tells you you have to believe that's real. It makes no sense. There's a big difference between a real lion in front of you, roaring, ready to pounce on you, than the one in your mind that your mind is offering to you as an echo. But when we can make that fear of that imaginal thing in our mind to be so real that we believe it to be real, and we talk about it when it's not even here, then why can't we do that on what's wanted? Because we're masters at it, at what's unwanted. Yes? Okay. So before you came to this video, however you got here, right? You're like, oh God, it's about time she put up another video. It was birthday month, guys, but birthday month is over now. But I always take that time to pull back and to get bigger awareness, not to be so involved in the everyday thing, so that I can take a look and see what's my default, what will happen even with the least amount of energy, so that I can see all this other stuff that I was doing on top of it isn't really necessary if I stop doing that other stuff that I thought was causing it, because nothing causes anything, and allow the default to be the default. So whether you're looking for another manifestation video, whether breath work, was the thing that got your attention, whether I just popped up and you're like, who is this chick and what is she talking about? We're really going to break this down, but what comes down to it is prior to you clicking on this video, there was a state of being. Can you say with 100% certainty, you know exactly who you are, you know what reality in, you know what level of consciousness you're on? Could be curiosity. It could be, oh, there's another one of those silly videos on manifestation, right? But that's where, when we're going from where we are right now, and then we pick something and we go to a new destination, and you're not fully aware and fully present because there's so much pulling at you in different directions. That's why an hour later, a day later, a week later, you're doubting what you chose. But if we can define a starting line, that just like if you go run a race, there's a starting line where you're told to start. And everybody who runs that race starts at that starting line. So if you, a week after you ran the race, and you can say, well, here was the starting line, and that's where I started, and here's the finish line, and that's where I finished, you can do the same thing with manifestation. Now, I said earlier that manifestation, you've never manifested anything. You're not manifesting anything, and nothing causes anything, but we look at the outside world, and after something happens, we try to connect the dots after the fact instead of just being so present with it while it's happening that you realize you are the dot, you are life itself. And that's why I like to use breath work as part of the awareness, because breath work will give you the biggest awareness right now more than anything else. Okay, so number one, if you haven't liked or subscribed, please do so, because we have amazing videos here. And I'm really excited because the reason why I do this, not only do I want you to make clear, concise choices, because when you do, as a trained interrogator, that's why I ended up interrogating people, because they didn't make clear, concise choices. They made choices out of necessity or opportunity. And the majority of people that come to work with me, and we do have one-on-one sessions, we do have group programs, we do have digital products here, I do have one-on-one personalized programs, so many different ways that I can help you. But especially my clients, the one-on-one sessions I've been doing this past, I'd say maybe 3 weeks or so, it's individuals, amazing individuals like yourself, that when they go back and they look at these choices they made and they beat themselves up, they weren't clear in the now moment that they made it. They weren't really present. They felt pressured, or time or space or whatever it was. And there's so much wobble because of that. Now, what I'm going to share with you here, because you never manifest, all you're doing is jumping into a character that already has a script. So I want you to think of yourself right now as your favorite TV character. I don't care if it's a cartoon, I don't care if it's a drama or a comedy, right? But let's use a comedy. And when you as the actor get cast in a role to play a character, each episode you're given a script. The words are literally put in your mouth. And though you may get to improvise a little bit, and you get to develop the character's personality and how they walk into rooms like Kramer, or how they act with other characters. I think of Frasier and Niles. Love that show. But the one thing that the actors remember is that they're not their character. They're just temporarily playing that. So we're gonna bring that in here, because all the things that the actors are doing that their characters have to do for that episode are already scripted out. And then they start to block out how they're going to move about and interact with each other, and how they're going to say inflection and pause and all that stuff, right? So now, if we use breath work to say that we're breathing life into the character that we've chosen, we then want to make sure that we know the script that we've chosen, the episode that we've chosen, and we do this every morning, because we have the full day for it to play out. Because why wouldn't it show up today and now if you truly fully go in as that character, not the old character that had to make a choice in the asking, right? So if I say to you right now, what did you have for breakfast, or the last meal that you ate, you can tell me. And now if I say to you, prove it, you think you can prove it, but you can't, even though you know you had the experience. Whatever you're offering me as proof, I promise you, if I took you and I questioned you like we were in a court of law, you really couldn't prove what you think you could prove. Oh, I have a receipt. Well, no, that's just a receipt that the food was bought. It doesn't prove that you ate it. You go, oh, I can empty my stomach. That doesn't prove that you ate that, because by the time you go to empty your stomach, it'll probably be broken down to a bunch of chemicals. So what you think you would be able to prove in anything that you've actually done, when you break it down, you can't, then it starts to loosen its grip. So if you can't prove that you ate your breakfast and you can't prove that you didn't eat your breakfast, what can you prove? That you were the chooser. You either chose to choose to eat breakfast or not. And if all it is you're the chooser of which script do you want to play out? Do I want to eat breakfast or do I not? And then you follow through with it. But I want to take you even back a step further with breath work. And I want you to see the version of you that ate breakfast or whatever your last meal was and the version of you that didn't. We're going to take both of those. And they're still frames, right? And you have to jump into either one of them. And that's what we're doing with each choice. We're jumping into the character that we choose. So imagine that that character and that reality exists over here, and it's a still frame, one picture. And imagine that the other choice is over here, and it's a still frame. You're wearing the same clothes, in the same room, in the same kitchen, access to the same food. What takes the frame and brings it to life? The breath. The breath does. So I don't want you to identify as a human anymore. I don't want you to identify as even a state of being anymore. And this is where you're not going to find this anywhere else. I want you, the real you, is the breath. You are the breath. You are life itself, right? Isn't that the first thing that you do after you're born, that you are totally responsible for your whole life, is your breath? And we have a certain way of breathing that we just, as our normal breath. But when we do something a little bit different, when we change up the script, if you go running, you're going to breathe differently. If you're going to sing, you're going to breathe differently. If you're going to play a brass instrument, you're going to breathe differently, right? So I want you to, that's a really good example. If we take a flute or a clarinet, it doesn't make any sound just sitting there. We have to pick it up and we animate it. How do we animate it? We animate it with the breath. So now, when you are the controller of the breath, right? You are the breath itself, so that when we start to slow everything down and be still, and we decide to go into some deep breathing, when our normal character is used to breathing very shallow, because that level of breathing has shown you what responses you will get from your reality. But the more you breathe deeper, the deeper you can animate the reality, because the breath, the air is there. It comes through the character. You suck it in. It's processing through your body, and you've made a choice of which character you're going to be. So when you breathe out, you're breathing life as that character into your reality. So let's just say, up until this point, you were the character that has maybe, when everything's said and done, an extra $1,000 in your bank account. And whatever breathing you were doing, what you would call your normal breathing, is what's there. But if you decided to breathe deeper and be present with the breath, and know now that as you pull this breath in deeper through your nose, hold it so that it can take all the essence of you, so that when you breathe out, you're now breathing out as the version of you that has always a minimum of $10,000 in your checking account. And you're seeing through his or her eyes, you're hearing through their ears, you're breathing out through their mouth, you eat with their body. And that's what you remember. I made this choice when I did my deep breathing this morning. And you can be very specific, like $10,000 in your checking account, or you can just breathe in that you are wish fulfilled. You can breathe in that you are happy. So you can be more vague. And then what you do after you're done with this breath and breathing is you remind yourself every hour you set an alarm to do 5 minutes, whatever you're doing, unless you're giving a talk. If you're driving, you can breathe deep. If you're folding laundry, you can breathe deep. If you're food shopping, you can breathe deep. If you're doing something with work, you can breathe deep, right? You don't have to stop what you're doing. You don't have to just sit there. Just breathe deep, because just remind yourself at the beginning of the breathing that you're breathing as the wish fulfilled version of you. And as I take you, I call this 0 point, right? When we do for a moment, whether it's 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 9 minutes, however long, when we do have an opportunity to stop, keep our eyes open and do this deep breathing, and I walk you through step by step how to get more centered in the now, because what you're doing is you're pulling your breath out of the reality that you're in the awareness that you're in, and then you're focusing in on the body, because when we slow things down and we breathe deep and we focus on the breath, that's why a lot of meditation and other practices have you focus on deep breathing, because you're now centering into a new character, so that when you come out, you know you're in that character's reality. And what's crazy is it looks like the same reality, physical reality, as the one before it. And I teach you how to remind yourself all day long that you're in your wish fulfilled. Now, if you would like to have an experience with me this weekend, this Saturday and Sunday, the 7th and 8th of September, I'm having a 2-day private event on Zoom. It is a dedicated group that we have. Only the people who sign up for the event will be in there. And on day 1, we have 4 sessions, and we're going to go into deep breathing and 0 point, so that you will know when you walk away just from day 1, how to center right here, right now, how simple it is, different techniques on how to do it to become aware of the breath, so that when you do make a choice, when you come out of 0 point and you make that choice, there's no doubt that's the choice. And when you start to choose this way, you eliminate fear, you eliminate wobble, you eliminate doubt, because you know what you've chosen, and you don't care that that is not here, because you gave it to yourself within. Then on day 2, we're going to script the reality. We're going to say, this is what the reality that didn't have it looks like, and this is what the reality that does have it, how the people talk, how the people interact, how I talk, how I interact, how I don't wobble over here, how I have no fear, how I have no doubt. Why? Because I can go back to 0 point. I can go back to 0 points and remember who I am, because it's not about manifesting anything. It's not even about the character. It's about the animator. It's about the breath of life. You are life itself. You are the breath that moves into different versions of you that can change just like that. And I've shared before that I'm a mom of 5 and I've given birth naturally to my children. And the first time that I gave birth naturally, the process took over me, right? One of my worst fears was like, I wouldn't get there in time for the epidural. And baby decided she wanted to come. She had an agenda, but she taught me something amazing. And one of the nurses there said, no one can help you now except yourself. So you need to calm down. And how you do that is you breathe deep. And if you breathe deep, the pain will go away. And I thought this woman was out of her mind trying to explain this to me as I was out of my mind. But I was so desperate in that moment, because the pain, it's just like, imagine your worst toothache throughout your whole body, and it doesn't seem like there's any end in sight, because every minute, it's worse than a microwave minute, or when you're holding plank at the gym. It seems like that's going to take forever, and that baby's never getting there. So I did what she said. And it took a little bit, because I was in the throes of transitional labor, but it actually worked. And the more I focused on breathing deep, I realized that there's this elevator, And that right now, there's different versions of me experiencing a similar experience, but from different perspectives. So there was the version of me in panic and pain, and then there was the version of me not in pain and calm. And the way that I got from the panic and pain me to the version of me that was calm and not in pain was through deep breathing, deliberate in the now moment, deep breathing, trusting, because sometimes those 3D conditions are hollering at you in the face. This is important now. Do something now. And I decided not to be afraid anymore. And I decided to tap into the power within me. And I decided that this was going to work, because if I could do the same thing that I had to do, not in pain, then that's what I want to do. That's what I wanted to do. Because the pain brought me deeper and deeper into the now moment, because an amazing thing was going to be happening. And then I started to realize how I wanted to rush it to be done to get the baby out instead of enjoying the whole process of what I was in. So when you say to me, Dee, 3D circumstances and they're insurmountable and it's painful and it hurts and I don't want to be here, whether it's emotional hurt or mental hurt or physical hurt, I've been there. I've been there. Trust me, I've been there. And I would not have believed it had I not experienced it for myself. But I can't prove to you, just like you can't prove what you ate for breakfast, that this actually happened, but it did. So much so that I deliberately chose the next time that that's what I was going to do, and that I was going to do the deep breathing right from the get-go, not waiting till it got to that point that something had to be done. So in that moment, I was still on the bed. I had all the people around me that I still had around me. The only thing changed was my state of being within me, from being in pain and fear. And even though I didn't physically levitate off the bed, the deeper the breath, the lighter I felt. The deeper the breath, the more the pain went away. The deeper the breath, eventually I raised my elevator, my internal elevator, from that baseline starting point of pain. And as I was breathing deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper, I was elevating myself up to a frame that looked exactly the same, except I was experiencing it in a different version of me from a different perspective, that this didn't have to happen that way. And it was in the simultaneous now moment. Powerful stuff. When you realize you don't have to be literally giving birth physically, right? Everyone is you pushed out, but that's literally what we're doing every moment. And the more you're breathing deeper, the more aware you become. It's like that awareness of pain, that version of me, like the bubble was here, but the more I breathe, the awareness expanded. And because I then gave myself more space in that awareness, I was able to elevate myself up into this elevator. Again, physical reality looked exactly the same. People were moving about, coming and going like they were, doctors and nurses and family members and so forth. But I didn't need them to change, because the pain was being felt within that character's body. So all I decided through the breath was to elevate myself up to a character that was not having the same experience. And I actually got to be more present, and I could feel how my body knew naturally what to do. I didn't need a nurse to tell me to push. I didn't need anyone to tell me what to do. I became the observer, not the physical pain experiencer. And it was one of the biggest and best gifts I ever got, not only because then I trusted myself more than the medical community, because my body knows what to do. I trusted myself in knowing that there is no now moment that's happening that I can't shift into or out of, and that I'm the operant power. And I want you to have that same experience. And that's why I want you to join us this weekend. So in the description box, you will click on a link and it will take you to a page. There's a tiny investment. But when you make that investment in yourself, not only do you get the 2-day event, because everything's going to be recorded so you can go back over and over and over when you need a refresher. But then I take your investment and I reinvest it back in you. Do you want a digital product? Do you want a one-on-one session? So it's almost like you get the 2-day event for free. Why wouldn't you? Aren't you curious? Don't you want to have these experiences? Enough with the videos, enough with the concepts. Because if all you're doing is watching video after video after video, that's your wish fulfilled. You get another video. That's your wish fulfilled. Because the you that manifests whatever it is in that script. But the you that's trying to manifest never gets it because you're trying to manifest. Because there is no manifestation. It's just pulling yourself out of one reality where it's not, because everything's right here, and putting yourself in the reality that it is. And the most important thing is I help you eliminate the middle, because when you're in the wish fulfilled, there's nothing for you to do, so that no matter what you do, if you get angry, if you get sad, if you get frustrated, it doesn't matter. Think of it this way. If you gave 2-week notice at a job, and you know 2 weeks from now, middle of September, you're going to be at your new job. And you can choose how to do your 2-week notice, right? You can connect all the dots and finish up the stuff that you need to finish and train new people. Or you could just sit there for 2 weeks with your arms crossed, because no matter what you do with the old job, it doesn't affect the new one. You're not there. It's not connected. And what you do on that last day is you made a choice. You told everyone your choice. Everyone's in agreement because everyone's you pushed out. They may have made you a counter offer, but you turned it down. And on that last day, you leave, you take all your stuff, because you know the following workday, you're not coming back. You made a choice. And your mind knows what that level of commitment is to that choice, that there's no wobble, because you start to act differently. You start to think differently. You start to plan differently. And that's what we're saying to you in this 2-day event. When you have chosen your new choice and you start moving as that version, it doesn't matter what happens while the unfolding is unfolding, because you can't get it wrong. As long as you don't go back into, so just imagine if you're like, okay, I give my 2-week notice, I'm going to this job. And then 3 days later, you're like, no, I should stay at this job. And then you tell them, all right, I'm going to stay. And then a couple more days later, you're like, no, I want to go over here to this. Like, you would drive yourself crazy, but that's what you do when you don't make a clear, concise choice in the now moment and remember what you've chosen. That's what makes this channel different. That's what makes my services, guidance for you different. And when you stop looking at you, because every frame has a body for you to jump into. Every frame has a physical reality for you to play with. Every frame has all the characters that are going to interact with you, but those same characters are going to interact differently. That's what the power of breathwork is. So I know you got this. And now I know you want that experience. Let's have this experience together, because then after the 2-day experience, then you can say, now you know how to apply this. Now you know, after you choose what you want to do and how you want to do it, and you don't have to worry that what you've done was counteractive, because now your mind thinks that this isn't going to happen. And it's a bunch of nonsense. It's a crazy story that you create. When you give your 2-week notice at a job, it doesn't matter how you behave at the old job. It doesn't. All that's needed is that you leave the job that last day. That's the only thing that you have to do, is not go back on the day that you're at the new job to the old one. That's it. And if we're going to use today as the day, today's the day that you create it first thing in the morning, whether you have to get up 15 minutes early, or you already have that time and space, but you're going to use it differently. You're going to go into your 0 point. You're going to come out. This is who I am. And that's how you're going to move for an entire day as that version of you. And all you're going to be doing is being the observing awareness as you move around the 3D reality. You will be blown away at how quickly things are shifting, because you're looking at it from the new perspective, not the old one. Because like I said, it was like within minutes, I went from total pain to not feeling a contraction because of the breath. And I want to teach you what I've experienced because you can use it on any topic because we're always birthing a new version of us into existence. And now what's changed is you're aware of it. Thank you guys so much. This was a community chosen video. Thank you. We now have moved it to Tuesday. So thank you for voting. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for all the wonderfulness. Thank you for being you and being curious enough to click on this video because I want to see you win. I want to see you win big. I want to see you win all the time. And there's no need to delay any further what it is that you've asked for. And once you realize what you've been doing to yourself up until this point, once you become aware, you can't be unaware. And it's just a beautiful reminder over and over in the now moment of how freaking amazing you are. I already know you to be. I want you to see you like I already see you. And we may not have even met yet, but I know your potential because I've experienced it through myself. And I want you to see that version because right now, it doesn't matter any choice you've ever made before. You're no longer that person. You are the breath that animates the person, that animates the reality because nothing moves until you do. So I'm going to teach you how to be still and know. And I look forward to seeing you in my 2-day event this weekend, September 7th and 8th. Until I see you, happy manifesting, enjoy, and make sure you comment how this video spoke to you because I'm excited to learn more about you. Until next time.